If I would have known what I know now, and if I had done just a few things differently, I would have absolutely been in doula work longer. So let's talk about this. The work itself, all right? The work itself is hard. It is rewarding, absolutely, to watch a woman be empowered by her birth experience and by her choices, to see a lovely, sweet little baby come out of all of this. You're buzzing right after all these births, but it is still oftentimes long hours. Okay, majority of the time I will say that it is long hours. Okay, I've been to births that are 24 hours. Okay, I've been to births that lasted 2 days with breaks in between. Amen. But still 2 days, still 2 days. And I was there, and I'm very passionate and happy to be there for my clients. But I can't deny that I am wiped out. I'm wiped out by the end of all this, okay? The second thing I will say is the emotional load. Okay? Depending on the type of doula that you are, and depending on your perspectives about birth, or your clients, they find themselves more in the hospital, or you cater to that environment, there still is a tension that's there. Definitely, if you're the type of doula that is definitely woo all of the things, that is going to bother you. And it definitely has bothered me. And even for people who I felt as though the hospital was the best choice for them, there was still tension, just because we are people who are outside of the system, who are critiquing the system, in a way, by our presence being there. You know, the fact that somebody feels that they need to have us, a doula, to come and support them, that is a lot of load, and tensions can definitely rise. Oftentimes, I know that a lot of doulas, because they just see so much stuff and they're tired of seeing so much stuff, they're like, you know what? I'm done. I'm gonna go become a midwife, okay? I'm gonna go become a midwife because I can have just a teeny bit more control, at least in my clients. I've seen lots of doulas who also work hard to find the right provider for their people. So then they know, I'm absolutely only working with such and such amount of providers, and that just is what it is. Because they get along with me, and they understand what I'm here for, and they believe and support the work that I'm doing. It can be a lot to play the contrarian, okay? To be the one asking about different positions, to maybe even being the one to do some of the work that the nurses are doing, because they're late and they're not doing it. They haven't flipped your client over yet. To raise questions sometimes with the family, and just being in that position can be really daunting, because this system is way bigger than us, and it's going to take a lot more work to kind of see it change. This is the top one, okay? Your money ain't right. The money is not moneying. It's not doing what it's supposed to do, okay? And we have a very different economy right now, okay? And we are going back to lots of canning and farming and all of the other things in order to try to see if we can make it make sense and for money to do what it's supposed to do, and it's not doing it, okay? And doula work, although it comes from heart, but it don't pay. We gotta have it pay. And you are definitely swung from left and right to birth appointment, and it's still not getting it, okay? You might need to add some extra placenta encapsulation, and that might hit it a little bit for you. You might need to do some nannying. I've seen doulas do all types of stuff to make sure they make their coins, okay? And sometimes it's still just, they still are not. It is not working. The next would be on-call. On-call life is no joke. I was warned and I was encouraged to make sure I had a really good support system. I was asked by my mentor about, hey, do you want to stay married? You have to make sure this on-call situation and how you're dealing with that, you're nurturing a good relationships outside of your work, to be able to handle that, so they understand all of that, all the consequences that come with being on call. And definitely, this goes back to the money thing, but if you're on call constantly, because you're trying to make the money do what's supposed to do, and there's just so much energy that you're using, and you're far away from your family, like that weighs on a person that weighs on a mom with little babies. Yeah, the on-call life is not for the weak. You know, I got tired of not being able to plan vacations exactly the way that I wanted. Yes, I know I made this obligation. I'm gonna be there for my clients, but it absolutely does block out my schedule. And I wanted a little bit more flexibility, and it still can be a little aggravating, you know, to not have some of the flexibility. So we talked about what wore me down. Now let's talk about what we do differently. One of the things that I did not do that I would absolutely say and encourage for you to do is to figure out what are your biggest pressure points. Is it the on-call? Is it that you ain't making money? Most of the time it's because you're not making no money. So like, what's actually draining you? What's actually making you want to walk away? Is it the hospital stuff? Which one is it? Pick which one, whatever that is. Maybe it's not included on my list, and really dig into that. The solution with some of these, I noticed over time, but you definitely, at the end of the day, you have to be very vigilant with any of this stuff. So hospitals, go and find, if you like, make the community for yourself so you can actually go and thrive. If there's a birth community, that's great, join it. If there's not, you might have to go and be the person to create that in some type of way. Make connections. Don't be afraid to network. Don't be afraid to go and speak to these people. Introduce yourself to these OBs. Kind of figure out, investigate them. Figure out who might even work best with you. Who could you refer your clients to? And know that not only your clients can have a nice time, have a safe time, and also that you could have an easeful time in taking care of and supporting your families. If the on-call life is wrecking your personal life, you're probably going to need to get it back up. Okay, there are different doula programs that you can be a part of that have backups already set in place. I've been a part of that before, and it was lovely. Okay, if you're struggling with kind of creating some of those relationships, some of the networking could help you find a backup, can help you find a partner, or partners, so that you guys can all basically do this. If somebody wants out, if somebody has something planned, that's going to allow for you to have a little bit more flexibility, and this is possibly not going to become a pain point for you anymore. Now, if you're still struggling with the whole money thing, I'm going to need you to go and type in little Mr. Myron Golden, okay? I've been binging his stuff. There are many others. Pick your fancy. One of those people, okay? And just get started taking notes and really, really do the work of everything they tell you to do. Like, actually just really do it. Think about it, all of that. And if just DIYing your own financial support is not going to work for you, go hire somebody. Do not be afraid to go pay for something to go invest in this business that you actually want to go and make it thrive. A big thing that I wish somebody told me is that this is going to be hard work. This is like the trainings are probably a little different now, but the trainings don't necessarily prepare you that much for the money portion, for a lot of these things. And it is work. If you're not really, really thinking that this is going to be a job, like you're going to be an entrepreneur, like you can't go about this. You have to be really dedicated. You have to not just have passion. You got to have some shrewdness. You have to develop in those things in order to be successful. And that is something that I don't think that I understood, because I kind of went into here in somewhat of a hobby and just thought that it would be a little bit more easeful. I did not realize how much I needed to learn and how much I needed to expand myself in order to actually have the thing that I wanted. And now I'm pivoting, and I will let you know why I'm pivoting. So here's some of the reason why I'm sort of stepping away. I probably will do some births here and there every now and then. But honestly, again, like I mentioned, Mr. Myron Golden, okay? Myron Golden, all right? Here's what he does say. Here's what he said, okay? Muscles are a limited resource. And you're like, what? Of course. Duh. Muscles are a limited resource. But the muscles are a lot of the service stuff, okay? A lot of the service positions and jobs, okay? So I'm coming in here while I'm editing because I realized that I did not do the best job at conveying how amazing what Myron Golden said was and why it spoke so much to me. When Myron is talking about muscles being a limited resource, he is equating muscles to service-related jobs, which doula work is service-based. You're constantly using your body to make the money. Because of that, the more you work, the more money you see in your pocket most of the time, is how it works with lots of service jobs. And that's kind of the case with doula work. And when binging and really taking notes, a lot of the stuff that Myron Golden was talking about, he just talked about the smart way to do it. The smarter way that millionaires do it, people who are trying to make a lot of money, is they just make better choices in producing products over services, because creating the product actually allows for them to have more time. And people have already been doing this, and it's become 10 times more popular. It's people creating some type of online product, some other passive income tool in order to make their money. So that's something that Myron just completely opened my mind to. I definitely recognize that doula work was a lot of work. However, the way he mentioned these muscles and the time, and that really you want to make sure that you're using less time doing a lot of this grunt work and more time being able to live and do other things to help you make money. So that's the smarter way, not the harder way. And the harder way ends up making this type of work just unappealing. Let me tell you a quick little story. I remember in 2020, actually before 2020, there was a lovely lady who started Digital Doulas. And there might have been some other people who were doing it, but not in our area. We were looking at her like, girl, who you call? You call yourself a who? But you don't go to no births. Like, how we do that? And then lo and behold, 2020 came. And I'm like, if she not the smartest person I've seen in my whole life. She was smart. And she had the passion. She had the education. All right. The same as us. She just was a little smart with it. And she said, listen, I'm going to do something bigger. And that is more sustainable. And it still ended up helping people. Okay. And she's helping doulas now. And now we realize, like, oh, wow, we got to figure out how to do this digital stuff. She had already figured it out. She had just in time. So I would advise for people to, because it's everywhere now. Lots of people are doing doula stuff. Lots of people are having tons of courses. That is definitely the thing that's happening. I definitely am interested in figuring out how, with whatever the pursuits are, whether it's doula work or any of the other things I'm interested in, is how I can not just use my muscles in order to make and provide for my family. What Myron talks about is using your mind a lot more. People that use their mind make a lot more. Then they can definitely have that, have a bigger revenue and have, passive income that is incredibly high. So that's what I'm interested in. And that's some of the direction in which my heart is trying to go towards. So definitely going to births takes a lot out of me. It takes a lot out of anybody. I've got 3 kids now. I've had another baby, and I homeschool full time. I want to have flexibility. I want to be able to be there, not have to fully always rely on a babysitter, all of this stuff. So if you really want to stay in this work, not just for a season, but for the long haul, you're going to have to not just look at the doula work and think that that's going to bring you everything naturally. You got to be shrewd. You got to look at the business stuff. You got to look at your boundaries. You got to look at your pain points. You have to be honest with yourself and invest in yourself if you're actually going to make this sustainable. And to think outside the box, I may not be fully into doula work right now in this season, Might be moving on to bigger things, different things in the future. But I'm rooting for people, okay? I'm rooting for you guys. And if there's anybody who is on there thinking about how they were going to become a doula, like I was when I was in high school, okay? And 18 or 17, thinking about how I'm going to become a doula and looking for these videos, here is one for you.